we got through that system. But anyway, in my senior year, we had we were quite a bit expected of us. Like I said, we lost Skeeter during the end of our junior year, which kind of, like I said, put a damper in. We had a pretty good team. We were always around 500 every year I played, but we still ran the old single wing, unbalanced line. I was pulling guard all the time, played linebacker and defense and same stuff, and we never had beaten Schulenburg because we hadn't been playing 11-man football since 1947. This was 51. We hadn't been playing but 47. We only had been playing 11-man football 4 or 5 years. And Schulenburg had been playing a little longer, but they had more. It was a bigger school, and they beat us like 52-14 in my junior year, and just ate our lunch. And the year before that too. Our senior year though, we had a pretty good team really. And so we had to play him at Weimar, and because the fields were just plain old grass, and we had to put that chalk out there, that white chalk, and chalk the field off. We had to do that afternoon. All the players had to do it with the coach, and so we didn't have maintenance man do it. We all did it, and so then we went in and went home and ate a little bit and got ready. Came back and suited up, and a darn big rain came. Good gosh, big rain for about 30 minutes. Those old chalk lines were just faded out. They just faded out. And we were ahead 7-6, about the middle of the fourth quarter. We were playing pretty darn good, and we had them 7-6. And I said, we're gonna get them this time. We're gonna get them this time. And they were about on their 20, 30-yard line. Arnold Palmer took a pitch out on the left side. Went down there, and the chain gang was down there, and they threw down the chain. The crowd all jumped back because it was standing room only. Schulenburg came, we went there, it was always standing room only. Stands were filled, everybody was standing around. People just scattered all back. And I know that rascal ran out of bounds 5 yards because Buddy Brandt came over playing safety, and he just hit him, knocked him out of bounds. He could have tackled him, which if he'd known now would have happened. And the refs, and he ran down there. I bet he ran 10 yards out of bounds. He came back in and with the crowd there and ran up there, and the referee gives him a touchdown because they had no review. I mean, nothing. The lights are so dim anyway, you couldn't see much anyhow. But nevertheless, they beat us 13-7. Bad day. Oh my gosh, that was a bad day at Black Rock. Terrible. But anyhow, that's the way that would happen. And getting back to Mr. Moore, he was, everybody was involved in everybody supported everybody. I mean, you got such few kids, everybody's involved in ag, football, it's all the same people. And he'd always say, well, if you win tonight and if you get 5 tackles, or if you make 2 touchdowns, I'll buy all those that did this, or whatever his criteria was. You go down to Zotapex, that was a drugstore, and you get your big chocolate, strawberry, whatever milkshake. I'm treating you. So we would, about half the team would always make some of that criteria, and it wasn't always the same guys, which he was pretty careful about that. He always reward everybody with something, but he would always go down there, and Mrs. Ottopek would just mark down how many milkshakes, and I guess Mr. Moore would come in later on, pay him whenever. So that's kind of the way that went, and that was neat because it just was. And in our senior year was the first year we had a band. We didn't have a band until my senior year. And Buddy Brandt and a couple, 3 other boys, they went out for band they had played a little bit in junior high, but they never had an official band, and so I didn't know anything about that, so I didn't go out. But Buddy Brandt and them, they marched in their uniforms. I mean, they just came out and marched in uniforms. The coach called to us for a little while, and they'd get back out on them and play in the band during halftime. And so that's the first year we had a band. And I'll tell you one thing about Coach Winters, and I think it was very, very good strategy. And he, like I said, he wasn't but 4 or 5 years older than we were. He was married and had a little baby. We were playing so poorly. We played Waller at Weimar, and we were playing pretty poorly. And so we went down in our little old shack. It was just a little wooden field house with a little screening deal where you locked up the helmets. And well, you didn't lock up anything. You just hung them in, and nothing ever actually dried out. All your pads and all your uniforms are just, the uniforms we could wash, but the pads, they never really dried out. They were just smelly from all that practice and all that heat, and no air conditioning in there. It just never dried out. So the bat and the little old field house, it had an odor, but nevertheless, we'd go in there at halftime usually, and he'd get on the chalkboard and he'd talk about this and that and give us a few pointers and ream our rear ends out sometimes, obviously. We was playing so poorly during the Water game, he didn't come in. We were waiting down there and waiting, and he never came in. He stayed out on the field on the bench. First thing you know, bam, bam, bam. The ref's out there, he said, game time. So the winners, so we came out there and he looked at us and he said, I hope y'all play a better half. And you did the first half, second half better than the first half. And that was it. And I kicked off, and that's the furthest I've ever kicked. I kicked it 5 yards deep in the end zone, and one bounce, it was off the field. So it kind of set the tone, and I'm not saying this because of myself, but some of the guys said it. I mean, everybody got kind of fired up, and we went ahead and won the ball game. And I'm not saying that did it, but it helped. But that was kind of a strategy that he, for some reason, that he did. And getting back to Alan Winters, well, he when I got there and started playing in my sophomore year, well, my knees were bothering me because I was carrying those 100-pound sacks of feed and squatting down and trying to hoist them up into a pickup truck and things like that, and my knees were popping a little bit, and so I went to Dr. Willis. I don't know if Mom and Dad, I guess, and Dr. Willis said, you need to just take it easier a couple weeks. Don't do anything strenuous. And this wasn't during football season yet. It was during I don't remember when it was exactly. Probably the latter part of my freshman year. I don't know. But anyway, I told Alan Winters, I told Coach Winters, I said, Dr. Willis said I shouldn't do anything for a couple of weeks, and he said, well, I'm your coach, and you're going to get out there and run with everybody. I said, and he had a paddle up there that was kind of, Mr. Moore made it in the ag shop for him. It had a long handle on it, and it looked like it was about a yard long, and he had tape around it, that old white tape. You can still buy it today. What do you call it? I can't think of it, but that's what they used back then, just to tape. And he had holes drilled in it, so that thing would hurt. So I didn't want to get any part of that. So I never told Dr. Willis what Coach Winters said, and then sometimes you just don't. It's best not to say anything. You just go do what you need to do. So that kind of ended that story. But anyway, I kept real busy, and like I said, oh, and then in my junior year, our 39 Ford had seen its better days, and because we bought it about 40, 44, 43 or somewhere in there, and this was about 1950, I guess. Yeah, it was the end of 1950, or somewhere in that area. Mom and Dad had saved up enough money since they finally had a job that paid them a salary, and they bought a brand new 1950 Ford. They made the model change in 49, and I remember the slogan. It said the 1950 Ford with 50 new features. And it was all, cosmetic stuff and things, but anyhow, it was a flathead V8 with Borg Warner overdrive, and of course no AC. Didn't even know what that was, but it was a brand new car, and oh my gosh, was I a happy camper. They let me drive that car on Saturdays. And I guess sometimes on Friday nights after the game. I know they did, but the Model A was my basic car. And so we bought that 1950 Ford, brand new. I don't remember how much it cost, but I don't imagine it was much over $1,000. I don't remember for sure. And I'm sure they didn't pay cash, but they paid maybe like $20 a month or something on a note, but maybe 30 or whatever. It wasn't very much, but anyhow, they bought that car. And that was a big thing in those days, was a rivalry between people that had cars. Was either the Ford or the Chevrolet. That was the best, whoever owned that. And then in tractors, it was John Deere's and Farmalls. And Farmalls were made by International Harvester, but they were called Farmalls. And so there was always a rivalry between that. That John Deere's better than the Farmall. Oh no, the Farmall's better. The Ford's better than the Chevrolet on that. And in 1949, Chevrolet came out with the Power Glide. It was the first automatic transmission in a Chevrolet. I think Oldsmobile and Pontiac might have had it the year before, or it may come out to see, but they call theirs a Hydromatic. And Chrysler came out with Fluid Drive, and Buick came out with the Dynaflow. And so, but anyway, Mr. E.P. Osmond, getting back to him, like I said, I was scared of his class. He taught history, and he was an excellent teacher. And he wasn't near as bad. He was tough, but I mean, he was good, and he laughed a lot, and he told a few war stories, and he was just a good guy. And he said, I don't know what this world is coming to with this transportation. He said this 49 Chevrolet, I just went down to Mr. Brazier's, looked at it, right downtown, of course, there in Wyoming. So I looked at that thing. I looked at one that was a Power Glide, and I looked at one that was the old standard shift. And that Power Glide has 105 horsepower, 6-cylinder blue flame, 6-cylinder engine in there. He said, can you imagine 105 horsepower? And he said the last year, the new one, the standard one, was 90 horsepower. Yeah.
Dana's on the phone.
Can I come down just a minute?
Well, she's on the phone. She wants to talk to both of us.
Okay. I'll be there.